7 years old. Has about 765,000 views. And on Channel Awesome, of course, so 11,000 upvotes. This is a better one of his videos.
It's actually 11 years old.
Well, it's 2015 it came out, and this is one of his better videos because he actually criticizes the thing he likes. So it's good to have a fan who's like, oh, I love this thing, but there's all this stupid shit that is just so dumb. I have to talk about it, which is great because fans should be able to do that with their favorite series or favorite movie, unless the movie is like near perfect, like The Princess Bride, where you have a few minor plot holes that don't amount to much. But
it's like me with Paradox games. I love them, but I always see a thing. Okay, why you're doing this? You are making the game worse.
Yeah, no, Paradox has got an eclectic series of not just 4X games, but just weird games to play, and it's
like the combat system for Victoria 2 is really weird. I don't know why they strip out the player agency of it.
Are you like wrestling in the background there? Like, what's happening?
Yes.
My brother is playing Until Dawn.
Oh.
At this point, the last few encounters I had with Paradox games, it feels like a scam company at this point.
Oh, really?
It is a scam company, and it is Swedish.
If they can make Vampire the Masquerade and actually release it in our lifetime, I'd be like, all right, see what they can do.
It'll be shit.
It probably will be, but I just want to see it.
They will give you. They will release it with 5 DLCs that cost $10 that allow you basic gameplay.
Oh. Well, okay.
And a year later, they'll fix one bug.
No, they will launch the Leviathan for Vampire the Masquerade, and you will see a lot of placeholders, missing graphics, a lot of bugs, exploits.
I would love to see...
But you will have quotes by Friedrich Engels.
Okay.
The game.
That's the thing. Paradox does still have the Bloodlines IP.
From White Wolf? I don't know. Either way...
For the... Yeah, from Vampire the Masquerade, does Paradox still have it? Because I remember they scrapped it everything.
Well, I would rather they produce a game that's broken and all the assets and code is just not being used so that we have modders who could just pull it out and fix it. I think that would be nice. So
like every Paradox game.
Well, not necessarily everyone, but maybe like the lines of KOTOR 2 would probably be the best result.
So like every Paradox games is like that. I think Imperator was the one that the modders decide to see, okay, if Paradox will not continue producing it, we will.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, that's another conversation about a love franchise that we're never going to get back, probably. So.
Yeah, I'd rather them not make the game shitty, because if they make it shitty, then nobody will want to touch the product line ever again for the next 20 years.
I think the videos we saw and the content of gameplay we saw was good enough to say, okay, this is the right direction. And maybe that was just pre-rendered. I have no idea.
It's not about... We're not in an age anymore where the graphics really count that much. If it's shitty written, if the gameplay is crap, it'll be garbage.
No, the gameplay
Visuals
looked fine.
Don't mean anything anymore.
It looked reasonable.
Visuals can be good easily these days.
No. I'm not concerned about physically looking good. I mean, looking good as a whole, so that we can say, all right, you're in the right track, keep it going, as opposed to like a fake video about Anthem or all this other crap that came out from BioWare.
It'll be full of socialist garbage, just like the role-playing game is now.
We don't know. We're going to find out, hopefully.
I don't know.
I don't want to find out. I want to wait 20 years until all this bullshit cultural war is over.
No. Let's see it for what it's worth right now.
I don't know.
Are you that drug addicted?
I don't care.
He's not the drug addicted. He's giving the benefit of the doubt, because Paradox is... I remember Paradox scrapped Bloodlines 2. I don't know what studio picked it up. I not really updated on the news of the game.
Anyway, that's news for this year. I'm sure we'll find out later as the months go by. Who knows? Let's get into Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi movies from Nostalgia Critic from 7 years ago. Here we go.
And with any luck, I too can learn not to like every single movie I see.
Thank you, Chester.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. And...
Oh, who are these guys?
His goons
Rocket.
at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like Spider-Man 3. I do. I like Spider-Man 3. Well,
This was actually funny. I giggle up a little bit.
I think Spider-Man 3 was the least most liked of all the 3 Spider-Man movies.
Yes, that is correct.
It is not even the least liked. It is the most liked, but it's the bad ones.
So it's got good and bad in it. So all right.
Well, if we only look at the Sam Raimi ones, then yes, it is the most disliked from the Raimi trilogy for obvious reasons.
All right. Some people were saying the third was the second best and the second was the worst. I don't really care. I don't watch. I can't remember. I can barely remember these things. So I don't know.
The first movie was very solid, I would say.
Yeah.
Like I recently watched it, and it's like I was surprised how good it was.
Yeah, I know. Those were great. And then the second one came out like, oh, that'd be cool too. And it was kind of weird. Third one, wow. A little convoluted there. A little rushed. So pacing, protagonist and antagonist development, special effects were great. They all look good, reasonably speaking, for the time. So action was good. Other than that, out of a Spider-Man film, you don't want too much. You want the focus to be Peter Parker, his relationships, his plight, the trials he has to go through, and that's about it. The antagonist should also play an important role, but other than that, yeah, I'm not too invested in anything else, so it doesn't bother me. Anyway.
okay, let me rephrase that. I like it about as much as I like the other Spider-Man movies. Which, let's be honest, people, are stupid, stupid movies. I mean, I love them. I really do. In the same way that I love the first 2 Superman movies, even though they were goofy. But they're just straight up silly. Then again, what do you expect when your main character looks like this? Or even this? I guess I didn't understand why the last film got so ridiculed when it seemed like the other 2 movies had just as many weird moments. Granted, they all had some good action scenes, and they did address the dilemmas of being a superhero, but are we just going to ignore the really dumb moments? All those strange scenes that had us wondering if they were supposed to be funny or dramatic? It's hard to tell sometimes, isn't it? We hear about the guilt a college boy feels having maybe caused the death of his uncle.
When we talk about drama in comic books, the melodrama usually is played out by the villain. The drama itself is played out by the heroine or the hero. So it's kind of normal to have a mundane, simple story with Peter Parker than to have over-the-top, emotional, dramatic scenes when he's Spider-Man fighting the villains. So that's pretty common in comic books.
Immediately
I agree that the other movies had silly moments, but Spider-Man 3 had even more silly. Like, it's the other 2 multiplied to 11.
I think the idea of the Venom suit or the Venom symbiote, it
was kind of cool, but not really because Raimi didn't want to use Venom. He really wanted to use Vulture, but Sony wanted Venom because Venom is more market friendly.
Usually,
it's almost correct. Like basically, like Sam Raimi wanted the Vulture to appear in the next one. There was supposedly like a 4th Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, but what the studio executive have done is that Venom was like a last edition, and they didn't even have like correct casting. That's why Topher Grace, like some skinny white guy, is playing Venom. It was like Eddie Brock was supposed to be like a really buff guy.
Yeah.
And Topher Grace isn't that type of person at all.
The idea behind Venom is that the symbiote amplifies negative emotions or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, basically.
So for Peter Parker to start acting like he's some sort of hotshot stud, it was like, that's a little awkward. I'm not quite sure that's what happens in the comics. I have to go back and check him out again, but I don't think that's how he's supposed to be. So there might have been a miscommunication, and I think he was playing it for laughs, because a lot of those scenes are just like, okay, that's not what you think of when you think of Peter Parker being...
The actor looks like he's enjoying himself so much.
Well, yeah, he's goofing around.
That character itself just created like a meme of its own. Like the Bully Maguire movement is just it's so beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's awkward for me. It was awkward to watch. I was like, "This is not." Oh,
yeah, especially the jazz club scene. Oh my god!
It's sometimes you get I wouldn't say embarrassed. It just feels awkward when you have like romantic scenes in an action film, or like there's genres which shouldn't belong in certain other genres, and your brain has to like shift gears. Say, "Oh, now I'm watching a love scene." Oh, okay, that's weird. Like I was just in the middle of like fighting, whatever. I think the Highlander movies do that to you a few times. It's just like, just decapitated someone. Now they're having sex. Like, oh, okay. It's it's kind of a shift in your brain. So to see that and to have it be so cringy before cringy was a thing back in the day, it's like, that's when okay, something's wrong with the tone and the setting and the scene of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Giant octopus man putting together a death machine. Don't always go hand in hand, do they? These movies may be fun, but they were pretty loopy, too. And I'm here to count down the top 11 weirdest moments in the Spider-Man movies.
Whoa.
Why top 11?
What happened?
Because I like to go one step.
The audio just shifted. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Is that me or...
No, it's not just you. This is like an 11-year-old video, and he probably didn't have the right copy of the video as well.
Oh, okay. All right, so what does it mean?
Like you can see like that guy with the glasses.com text on it. Like that's how old it is.
Yeah,
the website doesn't even exist anymore.
The quality of the camera feels a little different too.
Yeah. It's the same one that he has used from 2007 until the end of that website.
Yeah.
Because then it turned into Channel Awesome entirely.
Ah, there you go. All righty. Here's Gigaman. Why are you giving me $5? What are you doing? You're supposed to be on this show. What the hell? The reason why
it's for the rent.
It's for the rent. I gotta get a new job. I don't need money. The reason why Venom in Spider-Man 3 sucks is that director Sam Raimi hated Venom. Oh no! It made an attempt to sabotage the character to make the execs see that it was a bad idea to include him. And then what happened? The execs went, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's go with that."
The logic
the executives.
It makes sense to do that, to give the message. It's not a good idea to force me to make something I don't want when you take away the thing I wanted to make that would have been awesome because I wanted to make it. That would be better logic.
It seems like he sabotaged himself and the execs ran with it. You're like, oh. I gotta do Venom
To
now.
be fair, Sony is not that intelligent.
Oh.
None of these companies are. This is like they don't live. It's like they're not run by humans. It's like they're run by some aliens that sit in the bushes with their anthropology hats, their British hats, and have the binoculars on and wonder, what can we sell these weird ape creatures as a movie? They seem to like this thing. Here, human we pay. Make this thing. No, that doesn't work. Let me make my own thing. I know how humans work. No, we have observed your species. We think we know what you want.
No,
we don't want that. Fuck off, you weird aliens.
Now Sony is controlled by another type of alien called Californian.
Oh, okay. What? The entire company is owned by a state?
Well,
I think
isn't like Sony's headquarters only the PlayStation branches in California?
Yeah, but they're
No, it's Sony.
was
It's Sony.
Sony
It's
at the
Sony altogether.
They moved the entire thing?
They are they move out from
Holy
Japan.
shit. They're dead. Sony's a dead company.
well, they have Tokyo in Japan, right? They still have, but no, they gotta be in multiple countries.
Yeah,
They're gigantic.
they still have Sony Japan, but they don't. The main headquarters.
Yeah,
The
so
main
the main headquarters of
headquarters-
Sony have been moved
It's
to
in
America,
California.
and they demand, the Californians demand that everyone speak English so they don't have to learn Japanese. So they have to have everything translated to them, and they try to dictate the Japanese branches what to do.
Well, the
That's a
Sony
great way to
offices.
get the ideological bullshit over there, and hopefully it will just all flop.
The Sony offices are all throughout the world. They're not just related to entertainment. They do electronics and a bunch of other things. So I'm sure there's not just a focus on Hollywood and entertainment in those other branches. So, but yeah, we would assume Hollywood and Sony and California are related, very, very much so. So, who knows what they're doing in Toronto or Berlin or I don't know, Dublin, whatever. Anyway. Oh, hey, we got Jack. How's it going, Jack?
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hey.
Doing good. Welcome to the cast.
Just going to boost your volume there. Okay. Jack, are you in the watch together?
Yes, I'm in.
Oh,
hear my voice?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you. Okay. Well, let's go.
Beyond. Sit back and enjoy the top 11 dumbest Spider-Man American flags.
What?
Not like any American, I'm proud of my country. It's a great place to be and I wouldn't want to live
What
anywhere
gut
else.
was
But after
that?
9/11, we seem to really want to remind ourselves of that over and over. Let me explain. Before 9/11, there was an ad for Spider-Man that you actually can't see anymore. It was a teaser trailer that showed a bunch of thieves escaping in a helicopter.
I saw it in cinema. It was funny.
But then they get caught in a giant spider web between the World Trade Center. We back out and see the image of Spider-Man's eye and everybody goes nuts. They love it. It was a great trailer. There was even a poster that had that same image in Spider-Man's eyes. But after 9/11 happened, that trailer suddenly seemed inappropriate and was cut from the movie theaters. Hell, even the poster was scrapped. And not to sound like a conspiracy nut, but I think this scene was in the movie. I think this was the big reveal of Spider-Man. You ever notice in the first film he has no real big reveal?
I think they mentioned that in a news release back in the day. They cut out scenes with the trade centers because of 9/11. I remember that. So whether it was just advertising, I don't know, but that was part of the film. He's right. So, and that was a big deal. Like it still is a big deal. But yeah, everyone who made media, who told stories, who talked about it, had to cut it from their production because they didn't want to upset anyone who's watching it for good reason. So,
Yeah.
totally understandable. Anyway, he's not talking about the trade center. He's talking about the flag, though, which is weird.
He's just sort of there. I think this is how they did it, but then cut it out at the last second. But again, I'm just speculating. So to make up for it, like every movie that came out right after 9/11, they put a big American flag in there. And of course, the post 9/11 crowd loved it. Yeah, it's a bit hokey now, but you could excuse the first film as it was reacting to the emotions of the American people at the time. But by the time the third film...
Can you explain to me why Spider-Man is colored in red and blue?
No.
I can't.
Because he's Chinese.
Because red and blue during the time was really easy to print in the 60s.
So no Patriot colors?
Nope.
Okay.
What would those be?
Red and blue and white.
Red, blue, and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Canada,
No, you know,
it's
if
just...
he's Spider-Man, you would expect some stealthiness from him, maybe, but instead he has the "oh, look at me" colors.
Well, yeah.
It's
I'm
not
okay.
like Superman doesn't have to think about that part, but
Well,
Spider-Man is completely invincible.
It's kind of we kind of accept this. We don't really question why
That's why I
he's
was
not.
just. Well, that's just why I was asking. I mean, Spider-Man is, whether Marvel wants it or not, is the flagship of Marvel.
Yeah.
So I could easily accept that the colors might also be a deliberate choice because America.
Apparently, it was a choice because it would definitely stand out from the concrete towers of New York. Easier than like any other color scheme.
I mean, be glad that you can have patriotism. Other countries, they completely destroyed that.
Like Germany.
Yeah, they told us that it's the same thing as nationalism, and that means you're a Nazi. So yeah,
Well,
that's
everyone has the right to be retarded.
Yeah, well, that's why Angela Merkel threw away the German flag when she was handed one on stage.
Oh, nice.
Until you threw her away.
Fucking anti-German commie.
Alrighty. Well, I would not want to see another superhero that has the Canadian colors on them, so it's not very attractive.
Well, you guys have Wolverine at least.
Yeah, but with Marvel and Wolverine, it's kind of like, hey, neon yellow and black and whatever and orange. Like, what?
But the Canadian colors, wouldn't that be Omni-Man?
I don't know. White and red. There's actually a Captain Canuck or whatever the hell he's called. I don't know.
Captain Canuck.
Yeah,
just run with Omni-Man.
I don't know.
Captain Moose.
Maybe if he's like hiding in the snow.
Makes a better Canadian hero than Justin.
Yeah, well, any hero we can get is probably better than Justin.
Everything is better than Justin.
Yeah.
Like coronavirus.
Coronavirus is better than Justin.
Anyway.
Did it? The gimmick wore out its welcome. It was years later, and now it seemed like it was going from kind of forceful to uncomfortably forceful. You don't need to hammer in that Spider-Man's American. His freaking colors are red, white, and blue! How much more American can you get? Oh well, maybe this one's kind of nitpicking, but we're just at the bottom of the list, and there's a lot more goofy moments to go. Number 10.
That's
all those pointless characters. Maybe in the comics these characters played a bigger role, but in the movies, they just seem to have no purpose but to show that these people, well, were put in the movie. The teacher who eventually becomes Lizard Man in the comics, I don't count because, well, he actually does help Peter out in the movies.
The thing why you do that is when you already have a rich world, you can also show that there are characters living in this world beyond the main character and the villain and the girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a problem with this.
Mm-hmm.
Tertiary characters are necessary.
Just a question of execution.
Jameson's son actually is part of the plot because Mary Jane is going to marry him.
Oh, really?
So he's not actually pointless.
Yeah, he has a plot purpose, and most of these side characters are very, very organic as they are introduced.
Even Gwen, even if Spider-Man 3 is bad, Gwen is still part of the plot. He's not there to be there.
Yeah, this is
not all of these characters have to be integral to the main plot.
I would say that's a good point. You do want to have a city as big as, was it New York, I think?
New York
to have lots of people, and they have lots of lines, and they have things going on in their daily lives. Like, okay, you have to make this detailed as possible. So have them do things that make sense. They don't have to be completely relatable to Spider-Man's lifestyle and his conflicts. So
it's a part of like Spider-Man's lifestyle in these movies is that like he, especially in the second movie, he tries to live like a double life. Like during the day, even during the day he's Spider-Man, but he tries to be also like Peter Parker as well. And that's like the main conflict for him, is that he can't do that forever. And because of that, he has like this crisis that like he can no longer use his powers for like a few weeks, I believe. And he lives like a normal life. But like eventually he realizes that like he can't abandon being Spider-Man. From great power comes great responsibility. Goddamn message of the game. Not game fully.
Yeah.
I keep mixing up.
Well,
they have purpose. I wonder which characters he's gonna mention.
Yeah, let's see.
In short, Glasses Man is wrong.
But what about characters like Gwen Stacy? From what I understand, she had a really big role in the comics. In fact, she was supposed to be the one that was hanging on the bridge when the Green Goblin makes that big drop. I don't want to give anything away, but she's dead. In the movie, she's just sort of a throwaway character. Yeah, Peter dates her for a second, but then she just vanishes. It'd be cooler if...
Well, Gwen Stacy in the third Spider-Man movie is really dumb. So basically, like, this is the scene that was very incredibly the start of the conflict for Peter in the third movie between Mary Jane. Because Peter just, like, comes down and offers Gwen Stacy to, like, hey, do you want to kiss me? And in front of the big crowd. And Mary Jane was about to be married to Peter. Witnesses this. So, like,
you can see how it's done. The Spider-Man plot.
So what the fuck, Peter? Like, and then he brushes up that, like, that was nothing.
Is this while he's under the influence of Venom?
No. It's without Venom.
Oh boy. Whoa, Peter, what are you doing?
So, but it would make so much sense if he was still, like, under the influence of the symbiote. But no, this happens because Spider-Man happens to save Gwen Stacy from a fall. And Gwen Stacy's father was also the police chief, I believe, even in this movie. They make much more sense about it in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, but yes. So for some reason, they get to call him on this celebration, but yeah, this scene doesn't make any sense. And her part is basically just to, like, piss off Mary Jane and have, like, a second girlfriend while they broke up.
Right. Well, that's normal for relationships or romance stories. You have a love interest or a second love interest, a triangle, whatever. So there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It would be nice if she was fleshed out more, but she's not the focus of the plot, so it doesn't make a big a difference. It's a subplot. It runs its course. It's fine.
And it makes Peter Parker looks like a horrible person.
Yeah, that's kind of.
There's a stupid line that Peter says. It was Spider-Man who kissed her, not me.
Yeah,
You are
really.
Yeah.
Mary Jane does ask Peter that, like, was it Spider-Man or was it you who kissed Gwen Stacy?
Really? She says
that
that.
is stupid. And that is stupid, really.
Oh my god.
You know he's a Spider-Man.
That's part of the reason why they broke up, apart from, like, the blackmail that Goblin Jr. did.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay, that's probably why people do not like the film. There's lots of reasons to dislike Mary Jane. I think we did a video about that and why. But yeah, that kind of relationship is like, oh boy, that's a bit touchy. That's a bit silly. Okay.
Maybe she was the first girlfriend, and then maybe Mary Jane comes in.
Yes.
They're probably thinking too hard about it. How about Dr. Octopus's wife? You'd think her death would have, like, a huge impact on him. But he's
did.
Well, Rosie's dead.
Whatever. I can get another one. Now how about that killer son thing I was
No!
That's not how it played out in the movie. He's devastated. In fact, like, he realized that, like, oh no, the chip behind my back that makes sure that, like, these tentacles do not take over my mind is burned out. So I'm gonna go crazy soon. And he does go crazy. He wants to make the machine again just to prove to everyone that he can make a new energy source. He's touched by it. I can't believe he made that comment.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, the Batman animated series version of Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, that's like went through my mind when I was like, oh, okay, they're making a Mr. Freeze scenario. It wasn't focused like he was pining for his dead wife or anything like that, but it was that sort of moment. You're like, oh, this is where he's going to start going crazier. Anyway.
working out. But the biggest one to me has to be the astronaut from Spider-Man 2. This guy is not only an astronaut, but he's also the son of Peter's boss, Jameson, and he's also marrying Mary Jane. Those are some big-ass qualities about him. And what do you remember about him? Not a goddamn thing. You'd think this guy would be really interesting, and probably play a big part, seeing what an impact he makes on it.
No, like the whole point is that like Peter can't make a normal life for himself to the point that Mary Jane instead chooses like some rando that like she has like barely any connection to as a husband.
He is used as a plot device, and that is okay. It's not something wrong.
It's a major plot point.
It does have impact on the story and on the characters.
Like Peter loses his confidence, and like this is also like something that leads to him losing his powers because like he's crushed. He tries to only dedicate his life to duty, but he doesn't want to admit that like he's actually in love with Mary Jane. And that's like what causes his catalysis as a character in this movie. It's so good. I can't believe, Doug, you haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, we could have learned random facts about this guy, and Mary Jane would be like, I'm not interested in those things. I don't know what, science and military and going to space. I have no idea what that's all about. And she's just like, wonder what Peter's having for dinner tonight. Like, it's just like simple stuff like that that would work just fine. So maybe I don't remember because it's so long ago. I don't remember the movie very well. So I couldn't tell you about this character that is unrelatable. But we have these characters to have that little hurdle of conflict. Like, oh, we just had a scene with the possible love interest of Peter, and now we have the love interest of actual. This is marriage. Like that's even more serious. So I'm assuming at this point they've already broken up. She's seeing another guy, and Peter's like, oh crap, now what do I do?
They haven't been dating before this because I believe like the first movie, like Harry Osborn was the boyfriend, and then secretly Mary Jane is like kind of has a crush on Peter, and then but like Peter refuses at the end of the first movie because he doesn't want to admit that like he's in love because he wants to keep his superhero identity a secret. And the second movie he tries to date Mary Jane, but it just backfires and like he gets even more distance from her. And like the third one is like, well, we're probably gonna talk about very soon.
Yeah. All right.
Takes on everybody, and I guess he really doesn't make an impact on anybody. Mary Jane and him share maybe 2 scenes together. Him and his father don't share any scenes together, and we never see him do anything space related. What was the purpose of this guy? Just someone for Mary Jane to
conflict.
The movie is called Spider-Man 2, not
maybe he was gonna be Venom. Wouldn't that make a lot of sense? You could have him go into space, find this thing, and then have it get attached to him, and he would have reason to go after Peter. He stole his woman. It'd be a lot better than getting that dweeb from that 70s show and hastily putting a backstory together for him. At least this guy did have a backstory going, even if it did lead to no character. Hell, Bruce Campbell was more developed than him. That is, all 3 of them. Oh, and there's also the landlord's daughter, the newspaper lady, the Green Goblin's butler, Mary Jane's parents. All of them have little to do with anything. And when they do, it either leads to nothing or just comes out of nowhere. I think a guy who dresses up like a voodoo pincushion is enough to hold a movie, guys. You don't need to develop all of these characters, or, if you do, actually develop them!
Jesus!
Number 9.
Well, the movie would be at least an hour longer if you wanted to do that with all these characters.
Yes. I think all of these movies are at least 2 hours long. What does he want?
Yeah, I think when we talk about writing and movies have been getting bigger and longer and get your ass tired at the seats in the movie theater so much. It's like I would rather have tertiary characters just be tertiary characters, be tangentially related to a plot or subplot. That's totally fine. We don't need to go into their backstory. We don't need to hear about this and that childhood moment. They're there to serve a purpose, and then they're gone. That's the point. We don't need the city of New York to be fleshed out with everyone. It's too much.
The purpose of most of side characters is to serve the main character. And that's what Sam Raimi is doing in this movie.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I can remember way more side characters in the Raimi movies than any of those other iterations of Spider-Man. Like that's how much it's like. There's Mr. Dickovich, the landlord for Spider-Man in these Raimi movies. He's actually just a reference to Steve Ditko, the co-author of Spider-Man, and he has like 2 or 3 minutes in total of screen time in Spider-Man 2 and 3. And I remember more things about him than anything from Amazing Spider-Man. It just stays with you because like he played like an integral part just by putting so that like Spider-Man has need to get money somehow, but like he has like so much struggle keeping up his life as Peter Parker and still being Spider-Man, even though like what he does is basically just like photographing himself. But it gives like a ground, the reality to this story. That's what I like about it. Like it doesn't feel like he's just like hanging around and he has like infinite time that he could spend as Spider-Man. No, like he has to also care for himself and also like develop his own life.
Right. And I think his daughter was interested in Peter just because she was one of his neighbors, or they owned the rent, the hotel. Yeah. So.
Yep.
She just wants to be really nice too. Like she isn't like really there to like date Peter. She just wants to be like friendly. That's all.
Yeah.
She's very awkward.
Yeah, she's cute. Yes.
She's the good Samaritan. The person who helps.
Even the landlord is kind of a nice person because like when Peter like is under the influence of symbiote and like decides to like shout at him, he regards it like the boy is probably in trouble.
This
and
feels,
like, that's why he's acting like it.
This criticism feels like a fan who's being nitpicky for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And that's not proper like when you're a fan of something, you should be able to figure out what's good and bad. And complaining that not every character in a story is fleshed out is like that's not even physically possible. Can you imagine reading, I don't know, War and Peace or any big book? It's already huge, and then to have even more background information, and then more plots, and then more character, and it just keeps connecting, and you're like, oh my god.
Sounds like Game of Thrones.
Well, I think Game of
Sounds like
Thrones is planned out a bit better. The problem with it, there's just too many characters in general, and there's so many books that it's hard to follow all the plots, and you need that glossary to reference them all after a certain point. But that's kind of the appeal of those stories. The same way.
Because of that, they kill all the characters, most of the characters.
Yeah, that's the appeal. You want that level of detail, and you want like a living, breathing, anyone can die sort of moment. Like that's what you read for. That takes a lot of effort, and we saw the what happens to that people. I got bored of trying to remember who these people were and what they were trying to do. And once you get to Storm of Swords, you're just like, who are these guys again? The same family. Okay, all right, they have the same. Now there's a sister family, and then the other family pops up, and it's like I can't follow all of these groups of people. And then there's black sheep and bastards. And, oh my god, it's too much. Not for me.
It's not gonna finish. The winter is not coming, guys.
Yeah.
I doubt the sixth book will be finished.
All right, it's Jake the Surgeon. Hey Jake, thanks for the 5. Ooga booga blurb. Did you miss me?
I did.
Jake, we hardly knew you, but hey, how's it going?
It's nice to see you again, man.
Nice to see you again, Jake.
Yes.
Hi, Jake.
I just realized if the nostalgic critic is going to watch Cowboy Bebop, he would be like, where's the extra information about the syndicates? Why we don't have any information about the syndicates?
Yeah.
Just
Be careful with the spoilers, because I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, come on.
Well, okay. Either way, yeah. The argument is there's all these side characters that aren't fleshed out, and he'd be complaining.
I normally do not really that guy who wants to avoid spoilers, but with Cowboy Bebop, I want to avoid some spoilers.
Yeah, go watch it.
Watch it.
Stop.
Yeah, it is on my.
Drop out and start watching.
There you go.
It is on my list, but I very
put it on the top of the list.
My list.
Yeah, just
put it at position 0.
Eating, sleeping, just that's like 10, 20.
Don't skip your magical girl anime or whatever you're watching and just watch Cowboy Bebop.
There you go. And the Japanese version, not the The English version.
And play a round of Hearts of Iron or whatever it is.
The Portuguese dub is not, the Portuguese dub is not really that bad. I can watch in Portuguese too.
All right.
Just watch Cowboy Bebop.
All right. We told them what we want. That's fine. Let's keep going.
The extras in Spider-Man 2. Sort of a weird thing to comment on, but have you ever noticed how hokey the acting was?
He really hates the sidekick.
Isn't this the same issue? There's extras and there's tertiary characters. Yeah, okay. There's lots of people.
I will give him that there are like some purely comedic extras that are just purely showing that how do they react to the world itself. Spider-Man is having his fight.
What did you expect?
Yeah. We're gonna move away the camera from all these extras. Just gonna shoot them from a distance. We're not gonna show them how they react to the collateral damage at all. So we can have like a good figure like what the world is doing right now. No. This is like a bit awkward scene, but what would you do? You're like surrounded by a man with 6 arms, and he's about to like shred through you. He almost like freaking killed you because he broke the.
I would say Sam Raimi's dialogues is more humanistic than Nolan's Batman movies.
Yeah, isn't that Joey Diaz from? What the hell? Well, he's a comedian, right? So I know him from that, but that's like a young Joey Diaz.
Yes, that's him.
Yeah. He gets typecasted to play the Italian mob sort of guy in most films, and I think it was on The Sopranos. I can't remember, but he's like I love that. I love extras who are like well-known actors. Like, oh yeah, look at that, he's in the film. That's awesome. What's wrong with that? Anyway. Here's Coolman229. Doug really stretched to try to make this list. Yeah, this is like, I love a thing. I'm going to be a critic because I'm a critic in professionally. Let's make up some bullshit some bullshit reasons. Or nitpicky reasons, rather. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Jake the Surgeon, again for the 5. Thank you, sir. Look, we need to know the Cabbage Guy's story, how he got his cart, and why he knows what happens. Bussing say?
Bossing Say, yeah.
Bossing Say.
It's an Avatar The Last Airbender reference.
Oh, that scene. Okay.
Did you know the story of the fisherman in the fire village?
Oh dear. And all the cabbages get destroyed. Yeah, okay.
I need to know the backstory of the Low Man and Sea.
Yeah, so this is just an extension of the previous point. Let's just go right through this.
In Spider-Man 2, not really from the main actors. They held up. I'm talking about the extras, the people in the background. I don't know, they just never seem to talk right to me.
Oh my.
Swell. Go, Spidey, go!
What is she, Spidey's girlfriend? And for that matter, does she kind of look creepy to you? She freaking looks possessed.
If you see a man swinging from a building like 100 meters or whatever on a thin thread, you'd be kind of excited.
And saved your life already.
As well. Yeah.
Like that dog could have just crushed them.
If he calls that possessed already, that looks rather normal, that girl. She just looks surprised. Look at all the feminist YouTubers nowadays. Like, that's total crazy. This girl looks normal compared to that.
If you see a superhero doing anything, you're like, whoa, look at that. Like, I get excited when I see a blue jay fly across my window. I'm like, whoa, a blue jay. I haven't seen that in months. A superhero, wherever, saving people, you're going to cheer him on. Like you're at
I once saw Colibri. That was weird.
Sorry?
Yeah, Colibri. I think they shouldn't be here.
Oh, an animal outside.
I think it is a bird.
Okay.
The little bird that swings the wings so fast it can stand in the air.
Oh, a hummingbird.
Hummingbird. That's what you call it.
They were introduced in Europe. I don't know. I don't think how long ago they were.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Someone in the 70th century did.
Anyway,
The guys were
one of those
eccentric.
idiots.
Anyway, the idea of a fan or a member of the public going "Go superhero person go" is pretty common in most, except for the Man of Steel and most other superhero movies. So I don't see this happens in the comics all the time. This is totally normal reaction. Kids would be like, "Oh, it's Batman!" Like, wow, like that's normal.
Batman.
Yeah.
Guys, this guy complains about the dialogues and reaction of the people in the Sam Raimi movie. Oh boy, he hasn't seen Kojima's character writing.
Well, that could be a good thing. So, actually, I know that's a good thing. I'm quite sure that's a very good thing, actually. Anyway, here's Jake again.
Man.
People can't cheer on their city's hero. Yeah, I know. It's like, why is she doing that? She's so excited. Is she his girlfriend? Like, what? Calm down. It's normal.
He's just a fan.
Yeah.
How about that weird guy in the elevator?
Looks uncomfortable.
It's just a joke.
It's kind of itchy. It rides up in the crotch a little bit, too.
How long are they gonna hold on this guy?
It's comedy.
An awkward scene.
It's comedy. Like it happens right after Spider-Man loses his powers, and he needs to use the elevator to get down.
Oh, that boy of yours is a real hero.
It's ironic because he's Spider-Man.
No, it's not.
Oh, you also got this awkward firefighter.
You got some guts, kid. Some poor soul got trapped on the 4th floor.
What is he, a Vulcan? Show some emotion, guy. For God's sakes, they're
He's a fireman. It's his
They have to
business.
face this thing every day almost.
Why would he start getting emotional?
Yeah.
He can't be. He
It's your
needs
job
to be
to remain
the emotional.
calm.
Yeah.
They usually
Fireman
see the
has to
remains
go.
of bodies in cinders. That happens.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there might be someone alive. Oh, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Possibly not.
The more I watch this video, the more I feel like he's detached from reality, or just he plays it for jokes. But
yeah,
this is
He's
just
overplaying
too
it.
much.
He's overplaying it.
He is.
sure.
Yeah, I would say he's over. I think he's trying too hard. You could have easily made a top 5 or top 6 list of goofy things out of just one of the movies, and he's trying to just do whatever.
It's just like usually his top list and like other like editorials are like way more serious tone in tone, and like more objective. This is just
the fireman's too serious. Like what?
Too serious. Like
the cop is
medical
doing his
professionals
job.
Are too serious. The police are too serious.
The fan is being a fan. Like what? Okay.
The woman just got rescued. Is too serious.
Yeah, the potential love interest of Spider-Man is kissing him. Like, oh, why would she do that? I don't know.
Firefighters
Hey,
hunting
he-
dead people all the time.
Some poor soul got trapped on the 4th floor.
Oh, real nice, Lou. Just say that in front of the kid I just said has guts. Maybe that would mess him up. Maybe he dresses up like a spider and saves people. You ever think of that, Lou? How about the train scene? I think the kids are the best actors here.
This is okay. Why are you? This is the best scene out of all the Spider-Man films.
Yes.
It is so good, and he's bitching about the kids. Okay, he's saying the kids are good actors. Like everyone's a good actor. They're all stunned. Their lives are saved. That's the point.
He's nitpicking.
Yeah.
He's mine!
You want to get to him, you got to go through me.
Joy Diaz.
And me.
Me too.
And me. And me.
And me.
What's wrong with that?
Plus, what the hell are
Completely classic scene.
Like
in
they
the,
are
in the
willing to
90s.
stand up for Spider-Man, even though Spider-Man felt like maybe the people are gonna turn on him. As Jameson there's like a subplot of Jameson trying to like spread like fake news on Spider-Man that he's actually just a menace and he's a vigilante. He needs to be put down. And what the Spider-Man has is that like he's losing confidence in himself. Like are the people even grateful that he's helping them out? So he has these doubts. And like by this scene, he realized that like it was all worth it. Like people actually are hoping for him to return, and they look up to him. So like them as simple humans willing to stand up against the villain. It's just such a powerful moment. It pays off so well. Well, yes, it is very awkward that they are just standing in front of him instead.
These people's reactions are normal. They are scared. They are seeing an octopus guy in front of them.
Yeah, they might be a little unsure what to do.
Yes.
You gonna fight me? A bunch of civilians? Like, okay. So yeah, acting and to have that demeanor of uncertainty and confusion, but trying to be brave, it's awkward. It makes sense. People don't want to fight to die, but they're gonna protect Spider-Man because they just saved everyone's life.
People don't want to fight an octopus guy.
That too.
Spider-Man, good guy.
Yeah, good scene. Anyway,
Pussy and Dr. Cat's doing there. I think my favorite though has got to be that screaming woman in the building Doc Ock is climbing.
Just to show terror.
Why? She has the exact same personality as you.
Possessed-looking face, isn't it?
well, if you're gonna have a nice, attractive blonde lady with glasses, I mean, I'm okay with this.
No problem with that.
Yeah, if you wouldn't
is this the face you want to see when you wake up?
Like everything about this scene is great. I love it. Everything's fine.
Maybe another nitpick. The extras in this movie just never seem natural to me. But again, this is a movie with an 8-legged doctor. How natural can it get?
Oh my god, can we really use that argument in a comic book movie?
He has 4 arms, 2 legs, and 2 hands. What is he talking about?
Guys,
he's trying to be deliberately funny and dismissive because that's funny. When you suddenly talk realism in a fantastical movie.
Yeah.
He's confusing ideas.
It's bad. It's a really ham-fisted attempt at being funny.
All right. Well, hopefully.
I normally don't complain about nitpickies, but this is beyond that.
Well, I'm
He's
assuming
too much.
I'm assuming he's gonna
like cinema since he's just making up shit.
He's gonna get rid of the bad ones at the beginning and get to the better ones at the end, hopefully. Because there is lots.
Is he always obnoxious, or this time he's obnoxious?
Well, I just assuming this because this is a 26 minute video, and we're not even halfway done. So.
Number 8. The effects in Spider-Man 1. As the films moved on, the effects got better and better. By the time 2 and 3 came around, they looked damn amazing. But in the first movie, they were pretty off. Come on, did you ever believe he was really holding that car of children? Look at the Green Goblin.
Yes.
Did you ever believe he was really there?
That was
flying
practical
around?
effect.
I think the action figure looked more realistic. How about when Spider-Man was first jumping?
You're just an asshole now.
It looks like a reject from the Toy Story movies, doesn't it?
No.
Now, some things were cool, like the Spidey sense and even 1 or 2 moments of him swinging around. But most of the time, I just felt like I was watching the video game for the movie as opposed to the actual movie itself. There's a scene where he jumps from a smaller building all the way to one that seems 3 times its size. Really? Just how far can this guy jump anyway? It's funny because the Spider-Man suit itself actually sort of looks computer generated. So you'd think it would transfer well when they actually do have to animate him. Well, in the later films it does, in the first film it doesn't.
Fucking hell, what year did he make this video?
2011.
2011?
Yeah.
No.
10 years.
2015.
That's when the re-upload was done. But
oh, you're right.
Air date.
So 10 years after...
11 years.
Whatever. After the movie came out. The CGI level at the time he made this video was a bit different.
Yeah, this is the same argument.
Like the increase in graphics quality in CGI that from 2000 to 2010 is insane.
Yeah, the argument for like stuff made in the 90s or the early 2000s, and then 3 years later everything suddenly gets 3 times or 4 more times more attractive because of the visuals.
Even for TV shows. Look at the earliest seasons of Stargate SG-1, and then look at the latest seasons.
Yeah, same
It's
with
like different worlds.
We talk about Babylon 5 having really cheesy looking CGI, and it's like it's not high.
That's early 90s, and they put really tons of money into that to have that level of quality that early on.
Yeah, like those are
SG-1 is lots of other shows weren't good CGI.
Yeah, we're not
even when they started after Babylon 5.
And appreciating those films are not about it looks good or it looks bad. It's like the story is enough to keep me invested that I can forgive the technology of the time, and we can do that with the same with special and practical effects. So squibs, lightning bolts, whatever. It's like, okay, we get what's going on. We understand it doesn't look perfect. It doesn't have to.
What kind of games were out in 2002? Like Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Star Wars Jedi Outcast. Compared to those, this movie was really
good,
higher than that CG.
It's always that at the time when the movie CGI looks better than the video games, you at first, at least as long as it's well done, don't notice it's CGI. Now that we have better graphics, we automatically compare the old stuff to that because we know it can look better. And now we immediately see this is all CGI and it's all ham-fisted together and it all looks artificial. The lighting is wrong and the shadows are wrong and the textures are plastic. But that's something we only get later on.
Yeah.
So he judging the 10-year-old movie CGI by a standard of 10 years later is just not fair.
A movie comparison would be The Two Towers at the time. Yeah, that was also 2002.
Oh boy.
The CGI can look worse, but the cinematography can hold up pretty well.
Yeah, it all also depends on how much money are you pumping into that, the whole movie, and then you have to wonder how do you distribute that.
Alrighty, here is Clitoris Eastwood. Thank you for the one. Doug, women scream bloody murder when there's spiders in their houses. Why wouldn't they get scared at robot arms busting through their walls? And damn, it's so sad to see Doug's content was always this bad and never improved. Well, women are curious creatures, but I would be terrified too if I had a bunch of robot arms smashing through my walls as well. So
seems fair enough to me.
Yeah, I would let the blonde, attractive girl in glasses coming at the camera, and I would hold her tightly, and I'd run away with her. She could scream in my ear all the time. It's okay. Here's Coolman229. Thank you for the 5. The first movie was from 2002. Of course, the CGI was rougher than later. It's not fair to bash on. The CGI is really not bad enough to rip into. Yeah, this is the same with any practical effects as well, although practical effects tend to stand a bit more up to the test of time, just because they're rendered in full lighting.
The physics work kind of realistic because it's real physics.
Right. So the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end, as awesome and crazy as the Nazis melting, is like, whoa, that's so cool. So no matter what,
and it's just like motion.
The most scenes in the movie where it's like a close up of Peter without the mask, it is practical effects. Like that's why the suit looks real, because it is real. They weren't going cheap that like it's computer generated, like what Doug is suggesting here.
I find that much weirder in the Tom Holland movies where it always looks CGI with his head sticking out.
Yeah, I don't know, Whisp, if you have seen the behind the scenes stuff.
No.
But, like
is he wearing a green suit?
filming the Spider-Man separately to make the suit available.
Oh god, it's horrible.
Because you have to have the 360 return to have all it covered. But
And the Cyber in the chat said Star Wars prequels can't compare with modern day, and that is true. Especially the first one, where the battle on Naboo basically has no vegetation. It's just a giant green field, just a giant green texture.
It's green.
Because you only see grass when you zoom in really close. Like it's a perfectly kept soccer field.
It's a massive grassland.
After they chopped down all the trees to get there.
Yeah, it's just sprayed on grass.
Here is Jake the Surgeon again for the 5. Thank you, sir. Jurassic Park. Oh, well, that was a huge CGI budget. And even Gamera 3 had better CG than Spider-Man, just to name something off the top of my head. Well, the thing is...
Yeah, but Jurassic Park, most of it was shot in the dark. So when it's dark, CG doesn't look that bad. Spider-Man suffers the fate that like a lot of scenes are during daytime and they have to use CG.
Well,
on top of that, the Jurassic Park CGI scenes are very limited, so all the budget goes into much fewer frames.
Well,
in the Spider-Man movies, you have way more CGI stretched over the entire movie, and that means the money per frame is more diluted.
Oh, well, yeah, you're talking about Jurassic Park. They pretty much broke the book on how to make CGI on it was the Silicon Graphics workstations, the SGI workstations at the time. That
I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, they spent like months to render one scene, kind of like what happens now with 3D Disney films. They spend all this time, and obviously it's a bit faster, but they would spend so many months and years just to get one scene perfect. And the way the guy created the Tyrannosaurus, and I don't know if you guys seen documentaries of how they made.
I saw it.
Yeah, there's one guy. Is he from like Vancouver? I can't remember where he came from, but he came from.
I think. Yeah, he's probably from Canada.
Yeah, he was a graduate of was it Seneca College or whatever, the big well-known computer graphics studio back in BC was, and during the time. So he was a graduate from there. He had these great ideas how to do this. They hired him. He spent all this time. Everyone followed what he did. So obviously, the thing that had the bigger budget and the more time, the geniuses on the project are going to look better. And of course, you have nighttime. You have all these other renders of dinosaurs and very simple scenes, as opposed to daytime action shots of a man with 4 appendages flying through the sky. Fighting a robot man with 4 appendages. So
also, the guys from the guys who made the CGI for Jurassic Park actually did the program for the stop motion expert that was still there in the production.
Yeah, they did a combination of effects. It wasn't just pure CGI. So they did a lot of cool stuff there. And it's hard. It still sits up. Like if you watch Jurassic Park today, it's going to be like, wow, that looks still amazing. I can barely tell.
You can tell that some dinosaurs are CGI because of the Brontosaurus and the chicken dinosaurs on the
Velociraptors
scene. No, they look like Velociraptors, but they are not Velociraptors. They are kind of herbivores dinosaur.
I know the Triceratops that was giving birth, I think, was real.
Hold on a second. I will find the
Okay, take your time.
The extra thing is when you animate humans. So landscape is one thing. It's usually too much lighting. The reflections are weird. But when you have a moving human in that, it is worse than...
I remember the name. The name of the dino... There's a pursuit scene in Jurassic Park where there's a lot of Gallimimus running on daylight. You can see they are kind of CGI.
Okay.
What I meant to say is, when you animate a human, you run into bigger problems than animating any other creature, especially fantastical creatures, because we deal with the uncanny valley effect way earlier with humans than with anything else, because we kind of know how humans look and how humans move, how fast they move, and CGI that isn't perfect usually moves too fast, and that is one element of it. The other is the bringing up the Star Wars prequels is a good point, because that allowed for a whole new level of CGI tech in the first place, and it wasn't very old yet. That's the, well, you could say the gift Lucas gave with his special effects pushes into new territory.
Yep, that's what he was known for. Unfortunately, there's a double-edged sword with that because he relied too heavily on visuals as opposed to storytelling, which is a weird thing to do. It wasn't just CGI visuals; it was also the storyboarders who would sort of write the story for him visually. Then he'd pick and choose which storyboard branch to go on, and then he'd just keep repeating the process as if he couldn't write his own way to the story. He had to have people draw it for him. It's like, what are you doing with all those billions there, Georgie? What a weird way to tell a story. But anyway.
At least it wasn't lens flares.
That is a weird kind of consolation, but okay, let's keep
J.J. Abrams and his lens flares everywhere.
Yes.
But at least they did get better. I mean, it could be worse. You could go the route of the Ninja Turtle movies and constantly make the effects worse and worse, to the point where Spider-Man was an animatronic puppet. But luckily they haven't gone that route.
Oh god, you're full of bile.
Number 7.
Also, I like the costumes
Little
in the
to
first
no
Turtles.
Venom in Spider-Man 3. I might have mentioned before that...
Okay, so this is the same argument with all the villains in Spider-Man 3. There's so many that they barely have like 10 minutes each. So that's a good point. That's a fair point.
Not just that, that's
agree.
not just Spider-Man movies, that's a general thing.
With villains, yeah, I'd say.
If you have too many villains, you will find really hard to flesh out everyone.
Yeah, in general, lots of Hollywood movies suffer from giving the villain barely any screen time. Movies like Die Hard are, I'd say, exceptions.
Yeah.
Where the villain really has time to grow, develop, shine. We learn several facets of him.
Yeah, but remembers...
That's great. Like, look at Bond villains. You barely see them. You maybe have one chat with them, and that's it.
Then they get shot. Yeah. Well, no, like even with Spider-Man 3, I don't remember the plot of Sandman. I think he has a kid he's trying to protect.
Yeah, he wants to find it to protect his daughter.
Something
He wants to be a present father for her.
And then
basically, like, the daughter needs treatment, and the way to get it is by robbing the bank.
Right.
Yes.
And then there was the guy in that suit, which he's what the hell is the Rhino?
No, Rhino.
Oh, it's not in this one.
Rhino is on The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh.
The third villain in Spider-Man 3 was the New Goblin.
Oh, okay.
Harry Osborn.
Been a while. All right, fair enough.
That I didn't read Spider-Man that much, but when I did, it always had Venom in it. He was my favorite Spider-Man villain, and everybody was hyped to see him in the third film. I'll admit I thought Topher Grace was a weird choice, but when I saw him in his role, I don't think he did that bad. Nothing great, but nothing terrible. And of course, when Venom finally did pop up, he looked great. The sharp teeth, the gooey black skin, he was a little scrawny, but he still looked great, and it was wonderful to finally see him on the big screen. For a whole 10 minutes! Like everyone else, I was pissed at how little screen time Venom got. In the comic, the suit tortured him. It tore him apart, but he was hopelessly addicted to it. That alone could fill an entire movie. But instead, he's mixed in with a ton of other wrestling plot points that he's only given a few minutes at the end. And even then, most of the time, his face is peeled back. Yeah, he has sharp teeth. Great, go back to the monster! I'd probably be okay with it if I knew they were gonna bring him back for a sequel, but no. Spidey nukes the bastard and we never see him again. The flying spider balls! They should have just held off putting him in this movie, or maybe ended with the transformation of him and build it up for the next one. But no, he's there for a second and then Venom goes, BOOM! What a fucking load! The one Spider-Man villain I think everybody wanted to see, and he gets nudged to the side by Emo Peter. Oh yeah, we'll get to him later. I guess it was good to see him, especially seeing how they're not continuing this particular story chain anymore. But man, like everyone else, I wish I could have seen a lot more of him. Not in that way!
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Number 6. That cock tease romance. Okay, so Peter has the hots for Mary Jane. Whoop-de-doo. What does he do? Acts like a pussy and never talks to her despite the fact that he lives right next door to her. How is that possible? She's got a boyfriend, but he breaks it up because, I don't know, he's a fucking...
That's Peter's whole character, that he's really shy.
Yeah.
And like he gets bullied by pretty much like almost everyone at school.
Yeah, the whole thing with Mary Jane.
Once he gets his powers, that's when the change happens.
Yeah, and Mary Jane is the literal girl next door, and she has her own personal problems with her family. So, it could have had more references, but that would take away from the existing conflict of, oh, I like this girl, I'm more confident with myself, kind of, sort of, what do I do? If he already had a history with her and they got to know each other, then it's like, oh, they're friends, they're close. And they're now developing romantic feelings. It's like, oh, then that's not hard. That's an easier pathway. There's less time to worry about and contemplate. Aren't they? Like, you don't just have all this backstory. Hey, we grew up in grade 1 and we got to know each other in grade 2. We were holding hands and playing games in grade 3. Like, no, you don't do that, or else it's just this. You're already committed to each other at that point. So, no, you have to have a separation. Ugh. Here's Cool Man 229. Thank you for the 5. I like 5 minutes ago. Doug insulted Topher Grace as Eddie. Now he's okay with it. Well, he likes Venom. He just wanted more of it. That was his argument, and I can agree. I think
and not as Eric Foreman.
Well, maybe not the actor. Maybe he wanted a different actor. That's fine. But I do believe Spider-Man 3 should have had more of only one villain as opposed to multiple villains.
Well, that was the original plan until the executives tried to force on Venom for Sam Raimi to be included.
Yeah, and so
the original plan was to have 2 villains, I think. One is Sandman and the other is Walter.
Okay. Yeah. The idea of a half-baked romance is technically a problem. Because if you're trying to do a story of Spider-Man, usually you want to deal with the relationships of Peter Parker, and one of them is with Mary Jane. So, yes, that could be a letdown, but technically it's not an impact on the plot. It shouldn't have to be, unless it is. And I don't remember too much about it. I believe he saves Mary Jane at the end, so... It's part
2 times.
Yeah. So it's okay.
Every movie, he saves him. He saves her.
Yeah. So it is part of the plot. The fact that he saved her, she's thankful for that. She already loves the guy. Do we need to show everything else that happens after that in some sort of denouement? Not necessarily. They could have her sort of looking up at the camera at the end, the same way Lois Lane might do at the end of Superman or what have you, and going, oh, that's the man. That's the guy we all love. We don't have to literally get married and this and that. So I don't know what he's technically getting at here. Maybe he's going to explain himself, but I thought that was fine.
Fucking idiot. Did he move in? No. His best friend does. They continue to make googly eyes at each other until finally Mary Jane breaks up with the best friend, just as his father fucking dies. Ouch. So now Peter moves in, right? No. He's afraid that if his enemies find out who he is, they'll try to kidnap her to get to him. Well, that's okay.
Yes.
Stupid old aunt is for that. She's been held hostage more time than a video game.
Okay.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of being a superhero.
Yes. Like, who would be the first target for Peter once he reveals that he's Spider-Man? Mm-hmm. All his friends and family.
Spider-Man is the classic superhero that hit that home the most.
Yeah, he's the most down to earth. He's living in a big city.
Don't complain about the very thing that makes him.
Yeah, the whole Marvel, I wouldn't say the Marvel method, but the idea behind Marvel Comics was Spider-Man being the forerunner. And
this isn't critique what he's doing here. This is just random random bile shitting just to have to say something like CinemaSins does. There's no consistency to his complaints either. It's just bullshit.
It's in that vein. I wouldn't go that far though.
It's just over exaggerated.
It is actually exaggerated. Yes, I'd say so.
No, I think it goes beyond that.
All right.
Princess. So she hooks up with that astronaut guy who's so charming with his one fucking line, and then Peter acts like he's interested again. She gets proposed to and even says yes, but still wants to be with Peter, which is great because he wants to be with her. Oh wait, now he doesn't. Business first, bitch. So she finds out who he really is, and they agree they should stay separate because of the danger involved. But then she says, fuck Neil Armstrong, I'm gonna go with the pussy in the red pajamas. When he warns her about all the danger she could be in, she points out that even before she knew he was Spider-Man, she was getting fucking kidnapped all the time. So might as well have the sex. They finally get together, only to have Harry blackmail her into breaking up with him. Why? Because he'll kill Peter if she doesn't. But did she just forget that Peter and Spider-Man are the same person? Just tell the friggin' idiot! Go up to him and say, hey, Harry's got his memory back. He's right over there. Beat the shit out of him. The end. But no, she breaks up with him and never explains why. What a shame! He was a shame!
That is a good point.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's like the many flaws of the third movie by itself.
Because Spider-Man 3 is bad. That's why it's a fair point.
Yeah, she couldn't
but it's just ironic that like he starts the video that like he kind of likes Spider-Man 3.
Right. This is the melodramatic aspect seeping through into the natural dramatic aspect, which we should have focused on, as opposed to having this goofy like, oh wait, you want me to break up with him?
I thought this was supposed to be 11 dumb, silly things that happen in Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 to prove that all the three movies are silly.
It's a part of the drama that should not be as weak as it is. And if it was stronger, like there's plenty of reasons for her to still walk away from Peter at that point. And she could have, as an actor, like she is a musical actor person, she should be able to figure that out, use her intelligence a bit more, as opposed to, I'm not going to tell him, I'll just walk away. It's like, what? Okay.
The only thing that I like about Spider-Man 3 is the CGI scene of Sandman becoming Sandman, and there's some kind of storytelling element to it, but unfortunately it never develops.
Oh yeah, the scene where Flint became Sandman is really good.
Yes.
All right.
I just want to say I'm going to drop out here. I'm not feeling well.
Okay, Wisp. Talk to you later.
Have fun.
Get well soon.
Night, Wisp.
Night.
Night. Okay. And we're almost halfway done.
Live in, I don't know, an even bigger closet. But that's okay, another random kidnapping will solve that. He saves her life, of course, and they end up dancing. Did any of this bring them closer together? I don't know, but seriously, you two need counseling! Number 5. Dr. Octopus's robotic arms. Okay, why do these things have artificial intelligence? I mean, what's the point? It's like giving AI to one of those robotic arms you get at the toy store. There's no need for it. You push a button, it grabs stuff. Easy.
Couldn't that make you vulnerable to them?
How right you are. Which is why I developed this inhibitor chip to protect my higher brain function. It means I maintain control of these arms, instead of them controlling me.
And even then, how far does the AI go? In the movie, the AI convinces him to finish the experiment by robbing banks, killing doctors, and hanging old ladies out of tall buildings.
Butterfingers.
What crazy?
Yeah, it's a crazy superhero plot villain crazy story. That's fine. It's supposed to be.
You need an AI because it's established that he needs to handle this very explosive material. And exactly. I doubt that the human brain by itself is capable of just like having a reaction for that. The other thing is that like he's not entirely using his brain to control those arms. They also need that additional help for it.
He complains about the arms. He complains about the arms. His name is Octopus. He needs some kind of arms.
Yeah. It's in the name. Dr. R. Octavius.
It's a funny thing.
real name? Otto Octavius.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a quirky thing from Stan Lee. He likes to do characters with the first name and the last name with the same letter, like Peter Parker. It's Richards RR. Tony Stark was the only one who he broke that rule.
And I think the purpose of these arms in these movies, at least, is to work with the dangerous stuff, like the energetic stuff in this movie. He doesn't want to get closer to that machine.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not the best explanation. Even I thought the arms were kind of goofy, but that's, it's AI. They have a mind of their own. That's why they're moving around like crazy. Perfectly
It's
fine.
a setup.
Yeah.
And the chip broke at the end, and they got control of it.
Exactly. It is not the greatest setup, but it covers its bases. It's fine.
Crazy fucked up idiot invented these things. Oh yeah, the crazy fucked up idiot who stole the idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I guess he sort of had it coming. But yeah, just to make it even goofier,
Wait, that's the same
arms
actor?
actually talk to him.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't say words, but they actually do talk to him. It's like a mechanical version of Lamb Chop sing-along.
Whoa.
They are in they're on his brain. The AI in his brain.
Yeah.
They can talk to them. You idiot.
Yeah, the idea is that, okay, this is pretty far-fetched, but we're going with it. There's enough explanation to make it make sense. He's a super genius.
It's a comic book movie. You have to make sense of it.
Yeah, it's just enough. Yeah, we don't need to know the nuances of AI man-machine interface, right? It's like, okay, fine.
It's contrived.
And this guy is being obnoxious. Seriously.
Yeah, it's contrived but work. Yeah, that's the what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's fine. I could buy it. It's goofy. It's fine. It doesn't break anything.
Some people started singing and
Oh,
not knowing what it
Oh,
was.
come on!
What the hell do you think those things are even saying to him anyway? Hello, Octi. What do you think we should do today?
Rob a bank.
Dark. Okay. Hell, the arms even scream with him when he finds out everything's gone wrong. Yeah, there's pseudoscience and then there's so-so science. And this is just silly.
It's goofy, yeah.
I sort of miss my wife.
Incredible, like just silly things in a comic book.
Yeah.
Number 4. The dialogue from Spider-Man 1. David Coop is one of Hollywood's most famous writers. He's written big hits like Jurassic Park, Death Becomes Her, and Panic Room. But he's also written some major stinkers like War of the Worlds, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and The Lost World. To me, he seems like a better storyman than he does a dialogue writer. And this really shows in Spider-Man. The story is actually pretty well paced and put together. Dialogue, on the other hand...
When she got out of the car and you saw her for the first time, you grabbed me and said, Aunt May? Aunt May? Is that an angel?
Are you an angel?
Oh, no.
Ugh.
You have an act for saving my life. I think I have a superhero stalker.
Did I really just hear that?
What about my generous proposal? Are you in or are you out?
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Okay, that's just straight up Adam West territory.
No. That is comic book territory. Have you guys ever read a Spider-Man comic or read the cover? You have these goofy one-liners that...
There's so much in his character to say.
Yeah, it's so goofy. Like every comic cover is like, what will happen next with the death of Superman or whatever. It's just like, these crazy ideas. That's gets you to buy the comic, and then you read it. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, Spider-Man doing these silly jokes is part of his character.
Yeah, for sure.
Seriously, this guy needs to check out Kojima's writing in serious tones.
Yes.
Seriously. He writes some goofy shit stuff. Laughing octopus? What the fuck?
Okay, well, okay. Kojima is its its own other thing to talk about, which we're not going to touch because that's.
He complains about goofy things in a comic book movie.
Well, there is an
And
argument.
that's why I'm mad.
There is an argument to be made about writers and their style and choice of dialogue. There's lots of reasons why it can and cannot work. In this case, because it's a comic book style movie, people are in character. People are losing their minds, as we know. The Osborn guys are nuts, and Doc Ock is nuts. You know, there's all these crazy people, so they're going to have melodramatic lines. So it's like, all right, how much can you stretch that? How goofy can you get before your brain goes, wait a second? So there's a certain limit you can take the dialogue.
And to be fair, Sam Raimi balances the comic book style and the realism thing together.
You can compare this to other stories of that nature. I always like comparing it to Smallville, because Smallville, a lot of the plots, a lot of the characters are so goofy and silly, and even in the dramatic aspects of relationships, they're even goofy and they're almost like watching a soap opera. They're really, really corny. Sometimes the action is serious, and it does get dramatic, and the relationships do get serious when they talk about Clark's dad, or when he's talking about his heritage from another planet. It gets serious, but that's really, pretty rare to get that style of writing. So you could say, well, they focus too much on the goofiness to attract younger kids or whatever. But that's fine. That they know their demographic. They know how to write melodrama for their audience. So how much is enough? You have to be very specific. Like in this scene, I'm like, that's fine. It's a fight scene. Two crazy people fighting each other. Like, that's fine. The actual dialogue for relationships, you could argue Peter's being shy, and he doesn't know how to talk to Mary Jane, really. Mary Jane's being shy. She doesn't know how to talk to Peter, really. She is surrounded by her friends. There's all kinds of social differences in how she interacts with everyone. So there's all kinds of scenarios, and you really got to get that context to understand it. And to just say it's bad in general is like, well, I'm sure some of it is bad, but that's kind of the point. So...
Has someone played Deadly Premonition here? Yeah, that's what I mean.
You could write a novel explaining the nuances of Mr. Morgan. Oh my god.
But I like it.
Yeah, he's the quirkiest guy I've ever heard about.
Seriously, but I like it.
Yeah, well, Francis York Morgan, you can't forget that personality.
Right, Zach? Right, Zach?
Isn't that right, Zach? In the coffee.
FK. Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked. Here is Great Scott. Thank you, sir, for the 3. This is an ancient video, but the Raimi trilogy is still better than Tom Ironman Jr. Holland.
Yes. Yes.
I have no taste, so I have no idea.
Like, you can't even give an argument against that, because there's no way. Literally, the last movie that they have done, they had to bring back the 2 other Spider-Man, and they are the most valuable part of the movie.
Oh.
The rest is just a mindfuck if you just think too much about it.
Is that
the entire setup is rubbish.
Is that the idea of having alternate universes and then?
Well, basically, like Peter Parker didn't get into MIT, so does his friends, because his identity is revealed, and because of that, he makes a deal with Doctor Strange that people are gonna forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and then he fucks up the spell by adding some people that should also not forget about that fact. And because of that, turns out that some of these villains from the other movies, like the Raimi trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man, get into this MCU universe, and the 2 Spider-Man as well. And
Genuine question.
Spider-Man from the Tom Holland, the MCU Spider-Man, teams up with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man.
Genuine question. How can an experienced guy like Doctor Strange can fuck up spells? I don't understand that.
You dumb down the character and then you can.
I still don't know how the spell works.
Like my biggest theory is that like he's also a Skrull, so that's why he's so dumb. There's like no other explanation than an imposter, because like it just doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, let's not talk about.
It would make sense. It would make sense.
Yeah, we can talk all day about that. No Way Home. Really, it deserves its own scream. If you want to.
All right, maybe another one. I'll have to watch the film first, but you know,
you're gonna get the brain aneurysm. I can tell you that.
That doesn't.
I can't tell you as much that you don't need to see the other movies because like they're gonna be erased by the end of the movie.
Yes, they are irrelevant.
Are you saying
everything is irrelevant?
You saying they
all the development that happened with those MCU Spider-Man is erased entirely.
So
except like his memories of those events.
It sounds like another Snap event where everything is just gone.
Yeah.
Kind of, but only for Spider-Man.
Oh.
But yeah, you have to see it for yourself.
All right. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. Cool Man 229. Thanks for the 5. Doctor Strange, can you make people forget Mysterio and everything he said? Yep. Rolls credits. I have to go, but have some coin for the road. Thank you, Cool Man.
Bye, Cool Man.
Yes. Like when you can solve the entire plot of a movie by just making a different wish.
Fantastic.
Yes.
It sounds like these stories with magical wish machines or whatever are not good ideas. I wonder why.
Yeah, the magic is too loosely. So, like it's almost like a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, I seem to remember another film with Wonder Woman that had the same idea. It didn't work
yes, except it had an even worse execution. But yeah, well, like Disney's Aladdin can do a wish machine better than the fucking MCU.
Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, we are more than halfway done. We could take a break and do this tomorrow if you guys want to call it a night. I don't know where you are exactly in the world, but we keep going. You're okay?
Let's go. Like it's only
let's
8
go.
minutes
It's
left.
late at night, but let's go.
All right, let's go.
Let's continue.
In the commentary, you can hear Kristen Dunst make fun of it.
That's such a cheese line. You have that copy. That's mine.
Jameson, you slime!
Slime? Really? He just called him slime? That's an insult that's still being used? In fact, was it ever being used?
Yes.
Meet again, Spider-Man!
Jesus, this is sounding like, well, a comic book. Which, yeah, obviously it's based on a comic book. Maybe that was the idea, but it's supposed to be a movie first. And
No way.
For that matter. These are sounding like lines you hear from a Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Join me, Turtles. Are you in or are you out? Hey, you're the
Movies cannot be goofy?
one who's out.
Well, it's a show for kids.
If the intention, if the intention is to be goofy, then
yeah, he's trying
I
to
don't see it
compare
as a
the
problem.
demographic for the Ninja Turtles cartoon to the demographic who watches bigger films about Spider-Man. So okay, there's probably a slight difference.
It is the same. It is the same demographic. It is
Probably.
kids.
Probably there's some overlap, but I'm sure there's like slightly younger, maybe. I don't know. Kids who go to matinees as opposed to Saturday morning cartoons. Like there's maybe a slight difference there. I don't know. It's a very technical argument. He's not presenting it very well. So you can make it though. You have to know your marketing data. You can't just say this stuff. So I understand what he's trying to say. He's just not doing it right.
Who's out, Chrome Dome? Out of your mind. Yeah, cowabunga. I'm funny.
How about that painfully forced scene with the New Yorker standing triumphant against, well, a flying green goblin?
You mess with mine, you mess with New York! You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
It was after 9/11, folks. We really felt that spirit, even though it was a little corny. Sorry. Well, there's no denying that the line. We certainly sound like a comic.
So only 9/11 can unite people together now?
Well,
is that what he's suggesting?
I see nothing wrong with a bunch of civilians bad-mouthing a villain. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. The villain that was trying to like kill those kids
and destroy things and kill everyone else, like
because the scene is pretty much like Spider-Man has to make a choice, like he wants to save Mary Jane or the cart full of people, and he decides to do both. And like the people on the bridge decide to like help him out because there's probably people crossing that bridge. It's not abandoned during night. Like, where does he live?
Yeah.
In some cave?
Yeah, if you saw a flying man on a whatever vehicle destroying...
He probably lives in New Jersey, where nothing happens.
Provided, of course, you could have social restrictions removed and get around. You'd be like...
He lives in a cardboard box.
Yeah, you'd be pretty pissed, too, if there's some guy trying to break shit. It's like, what are you doing? Get the hell out of here. Like, that's what happens, well, hopefully, if a riot starts breaking out and your storefront gets destroyed, you'd be pretty pissed, too. And I imagine in New York, you'd have a shotgun handy. So, a guy in a... skeet shooting, fantastic. It's going to be great fun for everyone.
And what's corny about 9/11 getting people together?
Yeah. Being hypersensitive to a bunch of people wanting to break buildings. Like, oh... Anyway,
let's go.
Wish it didn't sound like a 1960s comic book.
It's you who's out, Gabi. Out of your mind.
Oh, that sucks.
Number 3. Emo Peter. Yeah, y'all knew this was coming. Emo Peter's got to be one of the most hated aspects of Spider-Man 3. If not all the Spider-Man movies. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand why. Again, when I did read Spider-Man, I dug the stuff with the alien suit. In fact, that's one of the only Spider-Man collections I have. I knew the story. Peter is supposed to be tortured by the suit, the same way a crack addict is or Gollum was from Lord of the Rings. It's one of those tragic attractions that just kept killing him. And it was good. It was a good story. While that was tragic, though, Peter goes more for comedy. And it's just... geeky. I know that's weird me saying that, but it's just geeky. I mean, yeah, he's a geek, I got that, but this is pushing it. If they went for a more serious route, this movie could have actually been more effective.
Yes, a geek amplified by negative emotions is extremely geeky.
Yeah.
Thank you for the conclusion.
I understand what he's saying, and I would. We talked about this. I talked about previously that it is very hard to watch. Like it's like.
It is. Spider-Man 3, it is...
Say whatever you want about the emo Peter, but at least we got some memes out of it.
Yes, okay. The memes are holy.
They will never die. They will keep going on and on.
Bully Maguire still lives to this day.
Yeah, 500 years in the future, we'll still have memes about Spider-Man 3.
Like the newest movie, like when I was seeing that like they come through a portal, like, so many of those jokes have been made with Bully Maguire. So I'm thinking, like, what if, like, people were making those memes and some Sony executive was saying that, like, hey, like, how about we make these characters reappear again? That's gonna, like, get people interested again.
Oh, dear.
I can't see it any other way.
Well, the comic book, as Doug mentioned, is actually pretty good. So...
yes.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool. So there's quite a lot of it. They bring out all kinds of other characters that do get infected by Venom, and we slowly get Carnage, and then that's a whole other thing. And Venom becomes its own comic book, and it just goes. It's cool stuff. Like it's really like okay, if you want to make Spider-Man adult and serious, have it connect with a serial killer. Who's a psychopath? It's like, oh, that's a great combination.
Yeah, Carnage was a really interesting idea. Let's make the symbiote who amplifies negative emotions and put it on a psychopath.
Yeah. So interesting stuff, and I don't know how. I don't think it translated well in the movie because of Sam Raimi, but yeah, this was hard to watch. It's understandable though. We understand why he's this way and who he is, so it makes some sense. And that's all it takes.
The problem was the scene itself that it happens, but it had its positive tribute to society.
Side note, being an emo was common in 2007, 2006.
Yeah, it was cringe. I didn't like the emos in my school.
It wasn't cringe at the time, but
even at the time, it was really like, okay, why?
Yeah.
Just because.
All right.
Effective. When you see him dancing like that and acting so goofy, it's hard to get sucked into the torment he's supposed to be feeling. He doesn't have to dress different or comb his hair down. Frodo didn't need to do that. The people in Requiem for a Dream didn't need to do that. They don't need to look that way. They just need to act that way. Just show the serious side of the addiction. A little comedy's okay.
He doesn't have to look like he's crazy. He just has to act like it. What, dude? Come on. Are you hearing what you're saying here? His hair should be normal. Like, why? Why not look the part? What's wrong?
Frodo didn't do that. Like that. This is not Lord of the Rings.
He only has to act.
I get the aspect that like it's a kind of an addiction, but it's totally different.
Yeah, he's feeling down. He has this thing that amplifies other emotions. It makes sense. We're fine. He might wear his hair a bit differently. He might not wash his face here and there. I don't know. He might dance in public.
Maybe it is. This is just headcanon, but maybe it is the symbiote amplifying his scope mechanism.
Once you have mind control or AI or man-machine interface, it's like, okay, there's another explanation for this behavior. And you're like, all right, it's a symbiote. It's the mechanical arms behaving weirdly. Yeah, it's fine. It's understandable. It's not the best explanation, but it's enough to get the story going. It's fine.
I would say that.
I mean, it is not on the. But I can. It is a plausible explanation to why he acting weirdly.
Okay.
I would say he would complain about the AI and Alien.
All right. Anyway, here is. Sorry.
Because he thinks it's goofy.
It depends. This was enough for me to stop watching. So it was like, oh, it's too much for me.
So we can stop watching then.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. Anyway, we can. If you guys want to stop watching, we can stop watching. It's totally fine. Anyway, here's JS. The cool Peter Parker mimics the beginning of the Venom saga from the 90s cartoon, where he too initially gained incredible speed, stamina, and self-confidence after fusing. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah. That was cool. And he stole from a bank. It's like, everything's cool. Yeah, everything's great. So. Anyway, we are at 18 minutes and 46 seconds. 7 o'clock.
We can keep going.
Keep going?
I think.
All right, let's go.
Okay, but this is borderline Edward territory. When he does finally act mean and crazy, it's not really believable. Except maybe the stuff with the Sandman, but that's identifiable. He killed his uncle. That and he can't see the hair combed in front of his mask. But trust me, if he could, he would. And on a side note, I was really looking forward to that dream sequence done in the comic. Especially if Sam Raimi was doing it. It was in the comic, it was even in the cartoon. It'd be a fitting way to show the struggle that was going on in Pete's head. But nope, we got chocolate chip cookies and...
All right, so having dream sequences and dream fight conflict scenes, I'm a little hesitant to have these sort of... or to appreciate these sort of scenes and stories because it's all psychedelic in your head, in your mind. It's not real sort of thing. And to represent it physically is always it just doesn't look right. It doesn't make sense that you're going through this motion in your head to visualize the idea. And it makes sense for a comic book because, you need to represent something, and they do all kinds of crazy things in the Marvel Universe and comics, like the astral plane and all the telekinetics and telepaths, what they can do. So it makes some sense in the Marvel written form. But can you imagine seeing two Peter Parkers fighting each other physically in a dream world? It would just be like, okay, this is...
It would take up even more time.
It would take more time.
It
would be more dumber.
It would be dumb, yeah. You'd sit there going, oh, I don't know. This is too much. He's having a crisis of identity in his mind, and it's visually represented in a dream. And is that a physical? Is he literally fighting the dream? Is the dream, like, say the symbiote wins in the dream? Does he become this? Like, all this other nonsense is like, okay, this is silly. It's too much. We don't need to go that route.
You can't fight in a dream because you move slowly.
Well, it's just a silly argument that he's... Oh, I wish this was from the comics. It's like, okay, I can make a lot of arguments like that, but to want a dream sequence of conflict is like, oh, that's a... Doug, where is your mind? Where are you coming from right now? Why is
he made a lot of silly points.
Yeah, he could have just said he could have a crisis of identity without a dream sequence. Say the same thing. He could be mumbling to himself. He could have multiple versions of himself, like talking to himself. Not like MPD, but just him in his room and trying to figure himself out. That would have been fine too. But to have it visually represented in a dream was like, oh boy, where are we going with this? So I would not have done that, thankfully.
Milk. Badass. Number 2. Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No. He's the best part.
He's amazing.
Yes.
You put Willem Dafoe in any movie, that movie is awesome. What is he talking? Okay, this is just wrong. Let's just go through this.
Gonna be the Green Goblin. I was hyped. I was like, oh yeah, that's the perfect choice. No question about it. But when he goes over the top, he really goes over the top.
So many things all happening for you. All for you.
I guess that fucking costume didn't help much either. Did you ever see the original designs? They were actually pretty creative and awesome. And yet this is what they went with? No wonder he turned in the performance he did.
Think about it, hero!
The acting is traditional.
How do you adapt a design like that has the mouth moving and all?
Yeah, he's basically an evil Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah, he is, yes.
What's wrong with that?
Like he does the split personality so well too. Like
yeah.
And the best part about it is it was just one take. Like he keeps switching between the two.
Doug said the Green Goblin is Willem Dafoe is a problem?
Yes. It's his number 2 problem with Spider-Man.
Yeah, you could say you could make the same argument. It's another goofy performance, but you're like, yes, we know it's a goofy movie. That's fine. Why is Willem Dafoe, who's performing very well, bad? Like, what's bad about his performance? Is it the acting? Is it the script? Like, what happened?
It's even though like he has his goofy moments, like it's like believable to the point that like he has this government-funded project, and they are about to cut it because they are not performing as well as they have believed. So he decides to practice it on himself. It causes the accident. Then Green Goblin is born. And after that, like these things keep happening to him. That like they fire him from his own company, and he finds out that Spider-Man is friends with his son. Like there's so many things that are colliding with his life, and like he's reacting to it appropriately, as according to his character in here.
Yeah.
He did such an amazing performance. I would argue that like from the Raimi movies, he was like the best, pretty much. Like the Green Goblin, like Doc Ock is like pretty good as well, but like Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin is just so good. He was so good they brought him back in the latest movie.
Wasn't the original costume of Green Goblin green and pink? And this guy wants that in the movie? Yeah. Seriously?
Yo,
Hello?
Hello?
Sorry, but there was a lightning here, really close to my house.
Lightning.
That's someone
the magical
smashed
place of Brazil.
Yeah, I thought someone smashed a dumpster into something. What the hell?
Yeah, there's a lightning here.
All right. Okay.
It's super rainy here. It's
Okay. Okay, we're at 20 minutes. We got 6 minutes left. Let's keep going.
Over-the-top Jekyll and Hyde. He changes his voice, makes big creepy faces, and plays innocent and meek when he has to confront his other self. Of course, every time you saw him on screen before the transformation, he was a threatening and demanding person. But as soon as he has to act against himself, he's a frightened, scared little bird.
You killed them. We killed them.
We? How would you feel at, like, deep down, like you were killing people and you weren't aware of it? Because you have, like, a split personality.
Yeah.
He would freak out. And he wasn't, like, demanding. Like, he was a normal person.
Yeah.
He was, like, full of confidence. He was an accomplished man. But he still has his struggles.
Yeah. So, again, this is another issue I have the same with dreams, is multiple personalities. So, if we're going that route, it's like, okay, fine, we're doing all these things. Is this believable? The way they presented it, that he's so manic, he's just jumping so quickly, it's like, okay, that's pretty silly, but that's the point. He's this thing he injected, was it an injection, or I can't remember what he did to himself.
Yeah. He got injected and the gas too.
Yeah.
It
was gas or something. Yeah. So he's driving himself crazy. So it's like, all right, there's some empirical reason why he's losing his mind, and he actually has MPD. Fine, I'll go with it. It's just, it's like the magical stuff, the unphlebotinum or unobtainium or whatever, does the trick. It's like, yep, go for it. I'm okay with that.
Remember,
it's the techno.
It's a trick actors love to use, overcompensating one side to make the other side look more threatening. It looks silly, but it looks silly.
Imagine with us.
I'm also shocked that this guy uses gas in a building miles high where the wind can blow it away. And on top of that, he actually says sleep. Don't you love it when you attack somebody, how you tell them to be attacked?
Yeah, it's so anime.
How dare he tell the audience what's going on with the magical techno gas that we don't know what it does? What's wrong with that?
It's corny, it's okay, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he might know a little bit about gas. Maybe he has multiple kinds of gas. It would be nice to tell the audience what's going on.
The entire creation of the character is by gas.
Yeah. Why not? What's wrong? We don't have a little narrator on the side of the panel telling us, and then the Green Goblin sprayed the sleeping gas on Spider-Man. Like, we don't know what's going on. Is it knockout gas? Is it nerve gas? What is it? I have no idea.
It's a gas.
Yeah, it's a carbon dioxide. Bubbles in your drink. Oh. You gotta tell the audience what's going on. It's comic books.
Do for you. Will please be unconscious.
And what the hell was that sound? What, was he passing gas while passing gas? Every time he was on screen, I didn't know how people didn't just burst out into laughing. I mean, look at this moment.
We can destroy him.
I can't.
Betrayal must not be countenanced.
It's a fucking Walmart mask on a chair. Was this really supposed to be threatening?
Make him wish he were dead.
Yes.
And then grant his wish.
But how?
You're a dirty little kitty, aren't you? He does everything over-the-top villains do. He laughs, he says cliched lines, he even sings.
He is an over-the-top villain.
Yeah.
He needs to do that. You fucking stupid.
Crazy.
As we said before, it's all melodrama. That's the point.
Yes.
Yeah.
See Spider went up the water spout.
When will the overacting ever stop? How about that scene where he makes Peter's aunt finish the prayer? I don't know what that is.
Finish it! Finish Finish it!
He's crazy, maybe? He's lost his mind and he's just asking for crazy shit? That's generally what happens.
He's stretching her. Finish it.
Yeah. You never heard of crazy people wanting to do crazy things like buy a llama in the middle of the night?
That sounds like a Bolivian would do.
Where can I get a giraffe at 4 o'clock in the morning? I need one right now. What the hell are you talking about?
Tonight on America's Funniest Prairie Sightings.
Oh, fuck off.
The weirdest moment, and isn't that saying a great deal, is when they're on the rooftop and they're just talking.
Well, to each his own. I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while.
No, nobody can have a conversation wearing these costumes. It's just impossible. One of you has to laugh.
I could squash you like a bug right now.
I know I lost it when I saw the Green Goblin do this.
Here's the real truth.
That has got to be the silliest image ever. Is he trying to act like he's just at the water cooler? Hey, Spider-Man, yo, rap with me, brother.
This happens in comics all the time. I don't know what he's...
Dude, those points are really kind of a stretch. No. Besides the Spider-Man 3 ones, the Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1 are not really that of a big problem, or even a problem at all.
Yeah, this is not a big deal.
To say I don't have watching him, because I do, but if it's supposed to be taken seriously, well, I think the Green Goblin put it best.
Misery, misery, misery. That's what you've chosen.
And the #1 dumbest Spider-Man moment is... the stage and tap dance. Or if Wolverine went to a burlesque and did the can-can. No, that did not happen! But what bothered me personally about this scene is the scene that follows. We go from something so silly and so over the top to Peter hitting his girlfriend and then crouched over a church. Now obviously this is your big emotional moment of the movie. But a few seconds ago it was followed by this. That doesn't work. You can't throw all those things together.
It can work sometimes.
Well,
I mean,
it didn't work for Spider-Man 3.
In the second movie, when Peter throws Spider-Man costume away, next scene is the scene when Peter walks happily when the songs plays in the background. Do you remember that?
Yep.
You could argue...
And that works.
Yeah, no, the tone changes are normal when you're talking about drama and things that, oh, that's shocking, and now he's crying. It's like, oh, yeah, you should probably have a moment to reflect on what just happened. And to his point, all he's doing is reiterating his third point, which is the idea of Peter being like this in the first place, and now he's just talking about a specific scene of that event. So it's like, okay, yes, you already said you don't like this because of XYZ, I agree. The dance scene is goofy, yes, but it's the same argument. You're just saying, oh, he was dancing outside, now he's dancing inside. This is a worse scene. It's like, you're right. It's all bad.
Peter losing it because of the costume, the black costume, and he doesn't understand what he's doing. Right. And that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. We understand what's going on. That's all the audience needs, is to attach the plot to some semblance of logic, like A follows B. You go, okay, how do you get here? Oh, it's the symbiote. Okay, fine. The scene is dumb, but
it is dumb, but doesn't add too much to the plot actually.
Yeah, it provides conflict between Mary Jane and because he's upstaging Mary Jane. This is her job, I think, and he's like taking advantage of that. So there's that's good. You want to have conflict as a result of other conflict or other scenarios. And even after the scene, as he said, we just follow the scene where he's on top of some building crying. It's like, yeah, you screwed up, buddy. You just embarrassed your girlfriend or the girl you supposedly love. What happened?
But when you explain a reason by a single plot device, that doesn't make sense. Like in Metal Gear Solid series, everything is explained through nanomachines. Nanomachines, son. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the magic of a lot of these stories that are fantastical in nature. They have the phlebotinum, the magic powers, the adamantium or the unobtainium. It's always that, it's magic. The wizard did it. He used magic. Like, oh.
It's technobabble.
Yeah.
All right. Hard to bring a lot of narrative references.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say about this scene. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, everyone hates it.
Nobody likes us.
here's JS. Thanks, JS. Is the whole point of the dancing scene that something is wrong? Yes. The audience can notice that this literally isn't the Peter we know, and the dissonance should create worry about the symbiote. Yeah, we don't know if this is permanent. We don't know if Peter is in control, if he wants to do this. Everyone's like, what the hell is going on? This is crazy. Oh my God, is he really doing it? It's just like, stop it. It's uncomfortable to watch, yeah. Anyway, 2 minutes.
Together,
let's go.
I'm a monster. I mean, look at this. If I just showed you this without any context, would you ever guess that this was from a Spider-Man movie? No, you'd say it was an outtake from the movie Chicago.
Yeah.
Except even Chicago wouldn't be this silly. For many people, this is what killed Spider-Man 3 for them. This was the step that went too far. They could survive some of the plot holes, they could even survive Emo Peter, but they couldn't survive this. It was too cartoony, too out of nowhere, and too far removed from anything that people would consider Spider-Man.
Too cartoony is probably not the right descriptor to use.
I would say not necessary.
Yeah.
Useless.
It was how to say it was hard to watch. I keep saying it. There's so many feelings. Like, this is not good.
Too cringe.
Yeah, if he was like hitting on girls very efficiently, I'd be like, wow, Peter, you got some serious confidence there. That would have been more than enough.
No, it is this.
Yeah, because he'd be flirting with other women while the girl he loves is over there. Like, why are you doing that? Are you trying to like get back at her? Like, what's happening? Is this part of your psyche?
As Matt said, it is uncomfortable to watch, but it kind of makes sense.
No, that's right. It does make sense. That's the great thing about it, is that we understand why it's happening. It's just such a tonal shift, and you're like, whoa, this is weird.
It's like a super 180. It's going serious, and all of a sudden, whoa, what?
Yeah,
what is this dancing scene?
I think the director had a bit more fun than the rest of the audience. It was like, whoa, okay.
He was trying to self-sabotage with Spider-Man 3.
Pretty much, it sounds like it. Here's Great Scott. Thanks for the tip. The biggest issue I have with Spider-Man 3 is that they took previous conflicts and plot points that were resolved in 1 and 2 and just reused it, i.e. Sandman killing Uncle Ben and Norman's death.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, yes. The Sandman killing Uncle Ben was a really not needed retcon.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was dumb.
And Norman's death being an accident. I didn't know. Okay, I can't remember these films.
No, yeah, actually, it was kind of. Yeah, it wasn't an accident. He kind of killed himself trying to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah, it wasn't changed. It's just like Harry's interpretation of the scene, because Spider-Man brings the cleaned body of Norman at the end of Spider-Man 1.
Right.
And from that, Harry makes the conclusion that like probably Spider-Man killed him, but like it just doesn't cross his mind. Like, why would he return the body to his own house?
It's too humiliating. It's like that scene from Spider-Man 2. Where you were, Peter? Taking photos of Spider-Man?
Oh. Okay. Well, I think we all agree this scene is pretty cringy, but we understand why it's happening, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, Spider-Man 3 has the absolute worst moment of all the movies, but does that mean it deserves to be shunned away from the others?
Why was this one deemed so terrible? The other 20 silly moments.
Why is the audio mixing for this video so terrible?
The audio just
top 11 worst nostalgia Critic videos.
Oh boy.
Brought on 180.
My thought is it's one of two reasons. Either audiences were finally sick of all the silliness and wanted a more grown-up comic.
Oh wait, I understand why. Oh god, because it's YouTube. Basically, when you have like copyrighted music, you have two choices. If the copyright holder is unwilling to compensate for you, then you have the option that like you can blur out the audio that you have with the copyrighted music. And what it does is that it lowers the quality, so you can barely even hear the music. While the other one is just like lets you like have a reminder that like, hey, this music track is playing in the background.
Are you saying there's music in the background that?
Yes, he's using copyrighted music in the beginning and the ending of this video. And that's why the quality is so bad, because it's mixed together with the rest of the audio.
I gotcha. Okay, I could not. Obviously, you can't hear it. I was like, what the heck is going on?
Because these videos used to be on his own website.
Okay.
Book movie. Or maybe Sam Raimi pushed the boundaries of what he could get away with and simply went too far. I personally would like to see a more serious Spider-Man movie made. I know Sam Raimi can direct serious films, I mean really good ones. So I guess I was a little disappointed when I saw the tone these movies were going for. But when I calmed down, I did see the hard work that was put into them and how a lot of the issues they discussed do still hold up. Like I said though, I just wouldn't take it too seriously. It's goofy fun action that actually does have some dramatic moments every once in a while. They're not masterpieces, but I don't think they're supposed to be. They're just silly comic book movies, nothing more. I keep hearing they're gonna do a reboot of these movies, and to be honest, I'm pretty curious to see them. Maybe the new films will find that more serious road, which I'll admit is a challenge. Costume heroes are hard to take seriously. The movies have shown that it not only can be done, but it can be done very well. And until that reboot comes out, I'm gonna enjoy all the silliness and over-the-top scenes that these movies have to offer. Every web-slinging minute of it. I'm a nostalgia critic, guy. Remember it, so you don't have to.
This did age poorly.
This was bad.
We're done, but there's 30 seconds left for some reason.
Yay.
Do you want to see the post-credit skit?
Commercials.
Let's just see. Yeah. I'm curious. Oh, that's it? Credits? That's it? They're just credits?
30 seconds of silence for the people who died.
Oh, God. All right, we're done. Good enough for me. I thought that would be a much better video, but apparently not. Oh, so disappointing. Do we have any stream memes? Please say no.
Please say yes.
No stream memes. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Oh, no.
I'm okay with that. Anyway, that was unexpected. I thought he'd be a little more critical of his fandom or his thing he enjoyed.
It was okay.
Well,
I guess.
He had the obvious takes, which sounds like he's not really a fan. He's just a guy who watched the film and had some...
I think he's self-aware. I think he knows what he's doing. He's self-aware of his over-exaggerated claims or nitpicks.
Well, he had 2 points which were the same. One was the extras and the tertiary characters, and one was Peter being Goth Peter, whatever you want to call him.
Goth Peter.
Goth Peter.
whatever makeup he was. I don't know. Those are some points you could argue, but he didn't argue them well, is what I'm trying to say. As much as I agree with some of them, so everything else was a nitpick, which is weird, like the CGI and like
it was super weird.
When someone overplays something, you can't do a critical thinking thing in this video.
Yeah, when people say, "Oh, I'm a huge fan. I love this or that fandom," but I have a critical eye, and I'm going to tell you why. And you're like, "Oh, great! Here's a guy I can relate to. I'm also critical of things. I also like the thing. Talk about it. Let's go." And it's like, "Oh, the color of Spider-Man's outfit is not red and blue enough." You're like, "What? What are you?"
Seriously, that was stupid. What's wrong with Spider-Man is standing aside the American flag?
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
It's like Superman's standing in front of an American flag. It's like, yeah, and He's from America. He represents America. American values. You grew up on a farm. What do you want?
In the middle of Kansas.
Yeah. Anyway, here's one more tip. We got to go from Great Scott. And then I'm going to go back to this corny trilogy as opposed to the Fuster Cluck that is the MCU. You know what? That's probably not a bad idea. Nowadays, it's probably not. It's not looking too hot for everyone involved. Sadly. So
yeah.
Eventually, as I grow old and get bored with my daily life, I'll watch some films of yesteryear and watch these films and say, "Oh yeah, you guys are right. These are garbage or whatever." While the rest of us are playing like virtual reality Hitman or whatever. I don't know what we're gonna do in 20 years' time. Eventually, I'll watch those films, but who knows? Anyway, guys, thank you for the panel for tuning in. For
that was a good stream. Yes.
Yeah, no, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. It's great. Whisp had to bail, but Whisp is always a moody son of a gun. So what are we gonna do?
And I had to sleep till 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, no, we really wanted Gingaman because Gingaman's the hardcore Spider-Man Marvel comic.
Yeah, he wasn't here.
Couldn't make it.
I was disappointed.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm sure he would have loved it. He mentioned in the comments or in the private chat he really wanted to be here, but he couldn't make it. So too bad. He gave me $5 because he's a weirdo, but thank you for the $5. I don't know what you were trying to tell me.
You really appreciate that money, Smud.
I'm gonna go invest in another bottle of whiskey with that $5, man. It's gonna...
No, don't spend that money. Just keep it.
just frame it on my wall. Gingaman was here. Okay.
Make an NFT.
Oh yeah, like a $5 Canadian bill NFT. You know, just as
Trudeau NFT.
Just as valuable as it started. Canadian money. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Keep the suggestions coming. We were gonna do another video, but it was too short, and it was a rant video. So luckily, we got a nice criticism video. As always, we like the criticism videos best because we can sink our teeth into them. And the crazy rant videos, unless they're critical or about media, we don't like so much. But whatever you recommend, we'll try and vote on.
The video was you're not an introvert, you're just mentally deranged. Yeah, I don't think I want to cover that.
No, that was I watched it. It was bad. It was really dumb.
Yeah.
So
the title sounds crazy.
I like psychology. To have a random YouTuber tell people that they're not extroverted, they just have mental problems. I'm like, okay, dude, go back to university, spend about 2 hours in any psychology class before you start saying that to people. That's insulting. You don't just go up to people and say you're crazy. It's not nice. Anyway.
Maybe he's crazy.
I think it might be a shtick. If you look at his actual video on his channel, it's I don't know. I don't know why people watch him. It's just weird. So anyway, keep the suggestions coming as always. Thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a great evening.